I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Briarpatch After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. I am your host and fellow Briarpatch kid, Brandon Hanna, and I am here joined by two amazing co-hosts. You've seen them on this show before. You know them. You love them. To my immediate left, we have Janice Nyam.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to dive in and talk about Briarpatch.
So happy to have you dive into this episode. You do take the best notes in the business, as I have said before, but also known for his amazing research skills. We have the incredible Kevin Allen.
I'm a little sad to be here. It's a funeral episode, and I didn't wear black, and I just feel bad. And we're gonna talk about our feelings.
What do you do when someone dies at a funeral?
Listen, all of us forgot to wear black today, but at least you voted today.
Yeah, that's right.
He's got the sticker.
Well, as we know, I'm very much against corruption in politics. So,
as we will get into.
Oh, yes.
One of my favorite segments here on this show. We have a great show for you guys here today. We have the whole town attending Felicity's funeral, and I do mean the entire town seems to be at this funeral. We do learn more about the Dills past. We learn more about Allegra and Felicity's parents, and Floyd Furness. He gets sacked making this final play. Yes, but not before giving Allegra some very important evidence that could help unravel the mystery of her sister's death. And we bring back the incredible special segment, It's Conspiracy Corner, Kevin Allen's amazing real-life tales of corruption uncovered. And in celebrity news and gossip, Brian Garrity is cast as a villain in a new TV series. You're not going to want to miss that and hear about what that TV series is and what it's all about. I know I'm excited for it. But before we get into all that, let's just talk about our overall thoughts on today's episode. Janice, I know you have a lot of them.
I guess you read my mind.
No pressure.
This was supposed to be a sad episode, but for some reason, I was feeling similar to Allegra in a way because I knew like I should be grieving, Felicity, but I didn't quite know who she was. I didn't know if she was a good person or if she wasn't, because the entire episode we're led to like believe that she was, even though they haven't really given us good reason to see if she was, because the only thing we've learned after she died was that, she had all this money in her account and we don't know if she was doing some dirty business or not. But, I'm just happy to see that Allegra finally cried about her sister's death. So that was very nice to see, yeah.
That's a really good observation that you feel the same as Allegra, because I feel like this episode was a departure from the previous episodes in that it followed really one storyline. It followed one character, aside from the opening scene with Calvin Strucker's wife. This entire episode was, we were with Allegra the entire time. We never left her side, nor did anybody else in the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
She did not like that.
No, she did not like that. Yeah, the whole town seems to be attending her funeral. She gets picked up by a police officer. He's got beers in the back seat, as always. As always.
As you do.
Everyone's chatting her up. Everyone's handing her beers like back to back, and everyone is telling her, "I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry."
In her face too.
Yeah.
There's even one woman who doesn't even know who Felicity is.
When she finally was at the funeral, like, oh, I remember now. I was like, no, you had your chance.
Yeah, like 45
We're done with
minutes
you.
into the episode, she says that she finally remembers.
Go home.
What was she doing there if she didn't know whose funeral it was?
I don't know. I guess she figured everyone was going.
She's an old lady in a small
funeral,
town.
so I'm like,
she's bored. I guarantee it. She's bored, and that's what everyone in the town is doing. It's a small town, y'all.
Yeah.
Especially it's bread knife weather, right? So it's over 100 degrees. It's really hot outside.
Mm-hmm. Probably for free air conditioning then. Yeah. Maybe that's why she's there.
I'd go almost anywhere for free air conditioning if someone's threatening to stab me with a bread knife.
Well, it's also bread knife weather and that how humid it is. You can cut it with a bread knife.
Ooh.
But that is not what your favorite person,
AD
said. I almost said JD.
That's just what I thought when the episode started, or the title. I was like, oh, I'm from Florida. I'm very familiar with bread knife weather. Yeah. And then he's like, everyone's going to stab each other. I was like, okay, different part of Florida. Never mind.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, me neither.
Florida.
But they're in Texas.
Good to know.
It's the same. Humid weather. Humid, hot weather.
I mean, AD Singe always wears very tropical Floridian tops. Mm-hmm. Like he always wears like those tropical shirts. So maybe he is from Florida. I don't know. because he didn't grow up with Allegra. So
That's true.
That's a fair point. Okay.
Yeah, this is a really awkward funeral, but I guess it's on brand with the tone of this show.
That's why we're avoiding talking about it.
Yeah. The eulogy scene in particular, and we have Jake Spivey coughing obnoxiously when
What was that for?
I think he was just throwing shade at
he was throwing
Jean
he was
for
throwing
being
major
a cheater.
shade at Jean because Jean paused referred to Felicity as a good friend, and the whole town knows it was much more than that. But he's trying to save face. In
Even
the
his
house of
own
God,
wife
I
knows.
guess.
I thought it was his wife coughing.
No.
And so when he cut to Jake, I was like, why does Jake care?
It seemed to me, I thought it was really funny, Jake's interaction with him at the funeral in particular, because it seems like Jake really doesn't care, but he's like, I'm bored, I'm going to mess with this guy.
Yeah.
So he's like, that was a great speech you gave. It wasn't a speech, it was a eulogy. Did you practice that at home? No. Wow, your first time?
Yeah.
You killed it, man. Killed it. Oh, I'm sorry. Poor choice of words.
I was wondering why he was really, digging into Jean's skin. Is it because maybe Jean is investigating him in any way and he just wanted to show hey, I have this over you. If you mess with me, I'm going to release this information. I don't know.
I think it was just Jake being Jake.
I think so.
Honestly. I
can
mean,
see that.
The first time we see him, he snuck Allegra into the Sunday school classroom so they could drink.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
love that scene.
Oh, no, it was a fantastic scene. There was a lot we got out of it. But as far as Jake's concerned, I feel like everyone was taking a break from what they've been doing with this episode. So Jake wasn't being whatever master chess player pretending to be a fool that he's been doing. He wasn't trying to manipulate anybody or play politics or even be big man on campus. He was just Jake Spivey, friend of the Dills.
Yeah, he was just being Jake. He even, obviously, being as wealthy as he is, I thought it was funny how he takes out his money clip. He puts maybe a single $100 bill in the donation basket. He pauses and then he just chucks the whole money clip in there, pretty much.
But he wasn't doing that for anyone, He wasn't doing it to be funny. He wasn't smiling doing it. I feel like he genuinely cares about that family.
Yeah, he genuinely does. He genuinely cares about the town. He called
Who gets
it home.
the money? Who
That's
gets
true.
the money from the funeral? I'm just curious.
I feel like maybe he
The
just
church?
goes to the church. I could assume.
I thought I saw there was a foundation in her name, but I don't know who established it or what it's for. I just saw a
Interesting.
poster real quick.
Maybe that'll come back into play at some point later on.
He should have hidden the hundreds under the ones. That's all. I'm
I would
saying.
just.
No, he's there to pressure people into paying more than just a couple of bucks. This is an important foundation.
Be a good example. What did you guys think about Allegra and Jake just laughing about her parents' death and making so much fun of it? I found that to be very out of character for Allegra, because usually she's just always serious and composed, and here she's just making fun of this serious situation.
Let's get into that, because in this scene in particular, we learn more about Allegra and Felicity's past and the death of her parents. And I don't know, I think I can I'm the type of person where maybe if I suffered a tragedy like that and with a close friend who was there with me through that tragedy, over time I could see someone making light of the situation, just laughing about it, because what can you do at that point?
Yeah.
Especially when you live in a town like that where everyone is just miserable all the time.
And she's come to terms with it for a while. It happened when she was 17. She's had plenty of time to process and accept it. And now she can let go of the sorrow and just focus on the levity of it all. As Jake said, levity is a part of life. And that's how she chooses to grieve. And I totally get it. But yeah, you were right in AD Singe's position of this is a horrible story. Because it is. It is a horrible story. But it happened to Allegra, so she can deal with it however she wants.
For sure.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And even Jake said oh, you got to make light of bad things that happen in life, which is something that I feel the same way about typically often. So other than the amazing beard, I try to, once again, I find another similarity between me and Jake, although I'm not a weapons dealer, so don't go assuming
You
that.
guys
That we
could
know
pass
of.
it to us
That
twins.
you know of. Although I do like the outfits that he wears too. He always looks prim and proper.
I hate that I love his style.
Right?
Since episode 1, his house, the tacky jungle theme and owning a giraffe, I was like, that's totally up my alley.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 100%.
He just looks
The
always
big wicker
comfortable.
throne. It's a very notable chair throughout history. I don't know the name of that chair, but I can tell you all about its history and fashion and popular culture. Been on a lot of album covers. Anywho, he looked great at the funeral.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if I could pull off the cowboy hat too.
Probably.
Maybe I should wear one next episode. You guys could judge for
Definitely.
yourselves.
Okay.
We'll do like a side-by-side shot. to
Oh
see.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm
Who
liking
wore it
the
better?
sound of this new special segment, Fashion Corner with Brandon
Oh my god.
and our two amazing judges.
This is how we grieve.
This is how we grieve. Yes. So we learn about the parents' death. Well, the father, he fell to his death looking at some horrible real estate opportunity in
Is
a
that what
ghost
it was?
town.
I
believe that's what she said.
thought they died in a car accident, so I assumed they went over the road,
Okay.
the edge on the
Okay.
car,
Yeah, yeah.
because they both died at the same time.
Okay, so they fell in the car.
Yeah, you
Is my
mentioned that
assumption.
the dad died by impact and the mom died from relief.
Yeah, that was the
hilarious.
joke. Yeah. Again, we make light of it to
Yeah.
grieve. Kevin is not approving of this at all.
I know it just occurred to me that like her parents' ashes were stolen.
Oh.
What is
Yes.
that?
That's dark.
How did I almost forget that the parents' ashes were stolen by someone who I guess the parents owed this person money, and so he figured he'd just take their ashes instead.
Yeah.
Over my dead body.
Yeah, over my dead body, literally over their dead bodies. And we do
What a weird scene that whole thing was.
it's a weird town. Weird things happen.
Yeah.
And we do learn more about Felicity. I guess I don't think we knew this before, that she actually had left her hometown and then came back,
Yeah.
which is something that Allegra
I guess we
could
didn't
never
know that.
really resonate with because she hated her hometown. But as Jake had mentioned,
Did she leave of her own accord, or did she leave because she was sent to boarding school by
yeah, she was sent to
Allegra?
boarding school by Allegra because Allegra assumed responsibility as her guardian after the parents' death and decided to send her to boarding school to get her the hell out of that town for her only to return years later. And Allegra did not like that.
So was Felicity living with Allegra in DC or?
No, she said that she came to visit her in DC was the last
Okay.
time that she saw her.
Oh, I see.
And then Jake had made the comment, wow, that must have really upset you because it was in a time where Allegra was going through some stuff with her work, where someone who she was trying to, I guess, put behind bars ultimately killed themselves. And Felicity helped her through that tragedy. And then Jake made that comment, you probably hated that because you're the one supposed to be taking care of her, not her taking care of you. And that's when she chucks the beer at his feet, perfectly aligned with the gun shocks. I don't know about you, but that kind of startled me a bit.
absolutely
Yeah.
startled me.
I thought
yeah.
somebody just got shot.
It was pretty loud.
With cars blowing up in this episode, or in this show. First of all, anytime anyone gets into a car in this show,
Yeah.
I am on edge. in the beginning, where Strucker's wife
Yep.
got into the car, I was like, "This is it." We hardly knew you,
Gonna
Strucker's
die.
wife. I'm sure you were great at Sudoku, but your time has come. But no, she does have that drone
She's a
following
character,
her, though.
though.
Yeah, she does seem like a character.
She cannot get a break.
No, when she found hair, a long strand of
Yeah.
hair in what was that? Her
Pudding.
Her
Yeah.
pudding,
And
or-
canned
yeah.
hospital pudding.
How?
Ugh.
We don't want to talk about how. Speaking of talking about how and drones, Cyrus showed up at the funeral.
Yes,
And
Cyrus.
that was another wonderful, weird conversation. Because he's bringing up, like, she goes, Brattle dropped me off at an abandoned slaughterhouse where it was filled with drones. And he was like, and what kind of slaughterhouse was it? How many drones? Just, there was a lot of sequences in this particular episode. And they would have lots of little conversations and balancing out the fun ones with the investigative ones that the show has been doing this whole time. And just something about Cyrus's demeanor. I dismissed Queen Esther's thoughts about how he's obsessed with food on our last episode, and now I've got to completely retract
yeah.
that. She was absolutely right. He is
Absolutely.
way too into food, wondering what kind of meal they processed at a slaughterhouse.
Yeah. Well, what kind of it's like, what kind of slaughterhouse is it? What kind of livestock do they carry? He's like, beef. He's like, beef. Yeah, I like beef. Weird.
You like
Weird
beef
guy.
after it's been processed, man.
Now he doesn't even care. He doesn't care if it's cooked, if it's
Yeah.
processed. He'll eat it raw at this point, I
What are they
guess.
trying to smuggle? Figs, maybe. Oh, I hope it's
yeah.
figs. Like,
Maybe, hopefully, we get some
man.
explanation about why he's so obsessed with. Cooking.
I think I
food.
prefer it unexplained.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
every
It's
time
just
he
who he
shows
is.
up, make a food reference would be great.
Actually, I like that. Yeah. Let's just have it as like an insight thing.
Yeah.
I guess.
Everyone's got their quirk.
For sure.
And speaking of another character that has showed up in this episode, it might be a little quirky. I do want to get into Floyd Furness. But before we do that, I just want to thank everyone watching right now at home for making us the ESPN of TV Talk. We would not be able to do shows like this without your love and support. And so please make sure you subscribe to this channel, you like this video, leave a thumbs up, comment down below, tell us your conspiracy theories on what the hell is going on in this show. Why do you think Cyrus is obsessed with food? Maybe there's a logical reason we are just missing. And also, what is going on with those drones? We still don't know. Please let us know. I need to hear your opinions because I am lost. And of course, if you are listening on iTunes, please give us a positive rating on iTunes because that helps us tremendously. Something that did not help us tremendously, or maybe it did, was the resurgence of Floyd Furness.
Yeah.
He came back, but unfortunately, he got sacked making his final play. He met his noble end.
He brought it up on himself.
He did. He made a noble sacrifice.
Well, he thought he was dead regardless. She kept trying to talk him out of it and saying, "There's a way out of this. Like you don't have to do it." And it's been done. Like they're gonna kill me one way or another. At least this way, he can go out advancing the cause and doing something right.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that. I thought maybe he was going to turn himself in, but and then they of course get comedic with it with the football play by play.
I did not like that.
No, it was weird.
Well, they were talking earlier in the episode when he was having a phone conversation with her about how he wished his career hadn't ended, and it was like, it's not over. I can make one last play.
Well, in the beginning
me.
of the episode, when he calls Allegra on the phone, he's laying down on the football field and he's talking about football. And Allegra makes some comments to him, saying like, "You can get over it. Like things happen. You got injured on the first play. You could have not gotten injured, kept playing, and gotten cut from the team. A sinkhole could have swallowed the whole stadium whole," which I thought was a little comedic. Which is, I think, right up Allegra's...
her very dark humor.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Floyd does hand Allegra the black box recording from Felicity's room that most certainly has something on it, some sort of evidence that's going to let us know what exactly Felicity was getting into, what kind of trouble she was getting into, I hope. And we'll learn more about this in the next episode, perhaps. But
if
it's encrypted, it is encrypted.
So that's the next task is to get the key for this lock.
Yes, by Mr. Broken Nose himself.
Oh God, that was so funny seeing him show up at the funeral with that bandage on his face.
Yeah, he's talking to the woman who doesn't even know who Felicity is. He's like, "Yeah, we were kind of best friends. She used to confide in me a lot."
Because I mean, he was the last person she spoke to.
Yeah,
he wasn't lying about that.
And before, when he makes like an explosion noise, and very insensitive.
So many
behavior.
tacky people at this funeral. So many.
It's a tacky town.
Yeah.
Tacky town. Oh, I like the sound of that.
Oh, hey, I have a question. That just reminded me. What's the name of the town?
San Bonifacio.
What happened to being called?
Disgrace?
Yeah, Saint Disgrace.
Maybe that was just a nickname. I was confused by that too.
Yeah. Okay, cool. It wasn't just me then.
Yeah.
Great.
I think San Bonifacio. I think is the real name, and Saint Disgrace maybe is what maybe
the locals
call it. Maybe people who were locals and have left the town now call it that. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I had to ask. Sorry, because it was bothering me. Because at the very top of the episode, when she Strucker's wife peeled out and she saw the sign, I was like, was she driving to a new town or an old town? Where's she going?
Yeah.
Lots of mysteries.
Yeah. As you can see, this episode has opened up more mysteries than it has.
Can we talk about Lucretia just creeping in the background?
Yeah.
During the whole funeral.
That was another thing that I love too, where Jake was like, "Yeah, your wife was at my house yesterday," and he's like, "My wife was at your house?" Be like, "Yeah, and she's here today too. She's here today." Like he had no idea. He is so clueless. Gene is clueless and oblivious to everything. He does not know what is going on.
I don't know what Felicity saw in him.
Master detective.
Not much.
Okay. And the way he spoke to Lucretia was just very condescending. And I was listening to the Creators Podcast, and he mentioned how in the book Lucretia isn't really explored as a character. She's just called crazy, and he wanted to show her as an actual person with flaws, and still like her just being like a smart woman, because most smart women just get called crazy or like a bitch.
Yeah,
you know?
she doesn't seem crazy
exactly.
at all. It seems like she's in an
She's
emotionally
very-
abusive
For
relationship.
someone who's
definitely-
been for someone who's been cheated on, and
Yeah.
she's just still just like chill.
And she seems like okay with it.
Yeah,
She
she's
made that comment about like, oh, like he has the ability to love more than one person, and I don't have that ability. I thought that was a really interesting
Yeah.
remark.
very fascinating.
I think I don't want to say that she's accepted what's going on, but she's come to terms with it. And I thought her bartering a cigarette to not smoke it.
That was
and
weird.
then that I'm curious about. But her having the conversation with Allegra was just basically like she just needs someone to talk to right now, and she doesn't have anybody. I feel like she, like in her private life at home, she's probably struggling a lot with this, but she's making good face in public
For sure.
because she's that kind of person. But she was starting to open up about her feelings around Allegra because she probably assumed, like everyone else did, that Allegra also wanted to open up about her feelings, which she definitely did not until she was alone with the portrait. And I thought about that. I think she stole the portrait of Felicity because everyone else was trying to take her next dead relative. She had someone steal her parents at her funeral. And then especially between Freddie Laughter and his photographer trying to take that portrait, to take Felicity
Her
from
sister
her,
away, yeah.
that she was just like, no, I'm the only one who gets to grieve. I deserve this funeral. None of you do.
Wow.
That's a really interesting interpretation that I did not think of. For
At
me, I felt that she had taken the portrait because she was fed up. She had made some comments about how people keep trying to paint this picture of who Felicity was, and
That's
they're
what I thought,
Yeah,
too.
they're deciding who Felicity is, and rather than trying to learn more about who the real Felicity was, everyone has their own version of Felicity in their heads, which also kind of goes back to what, I forget his name, but the reporter, the older guy who
Freddie Laughter.
yeah. He kind of makes that comment too about, you know, when people die, we all kind of paint different pictures of them, whatever helps us sleep at night. And I think that kind of maybe fueled the fire a bit for Allegra, and it made these thoughts into this massive deal where she just couldn't take it anymore. And she was like, no, you're not going to paint my sister as this hero cop that that just happens to blow up in a car bomb. There was so much more to her that I don't even understand yet, but I'm gonna find out. And she just kind of snapped and took the painting or the portrait that was like tied to the stand that it was on. I thought that was interesting. Like, does it get that windy in Texas? They had to tie that thing down.
Just because it could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys see Jake's face through the whole thing? He's just like, oh god.
No, I didn't even notice.
Allegra, come on. He's just like, yeah, I know this Allegra.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
He seems unfazed. He's very, he's like, I don't think he's a very judgmental person,
No.
Jake. He just kind of accepts everybody for who they are, especially Allegra because they're so close.
But not Gene Calder.
Well, I don't know. I think he accepts Gene, but he's
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna mess with this guy
Yeah.
because he's kind of a little weasel, and I can do that.
Yeah, he sees people for who they are.
Yeah.
How he reacts to that is a case by case basis. But he doesn't blow smoke or make false pictures. He's a realist.
Yeah. Well, speaking of false pictures, I think it's time to get into our special segment for this week. We are bringing back once again Conspiracy Corner,
Yes.
real life tales of corruption uncovered, all about false pictures. All about
yes.
Yes. And we have Kevin Allen here to tell you another great tale.
So we're gonna go to some bread knife weather in Fort Myers, Florida. Fort Myers police officers were subpoenaed by the U.S. Office of Attorneys. The Office of U.S. Attorneys. There were 4 officers in question: Captain Melvin Perry, Sergeant Rick Notaro, and Sergeant Michael Forbes, and then Officer Jason Jackson. These 4 gentlemen were requested to appear in front of a court of a grand jury in regards to a case for drugs, murder, and public corruption. This was the result following the needs of the assessment for the agency by the Free Group, free spelled with an H, F-R-E-E-H, I don't know, because they had findings related to this case released the day after Chief Police Derek Diggs placed those 4 officers on leave. So these 4 officers were placed on leave back in 2017. In 2018, November of 2018, they were subpoenaed by the U.S. Office of Attorneys. Now, these gentlemen have retired. At least the sergeants and the captain have retired. The officer, he's still collecting a full salary while he's on leave. And sections of those findings that were subpoenaed by the officers were known as Appendix A and B and provided heavily redacted statements. So after the Office of U.S. Attorneys subpoenaed these 4 officers who were put on leave the next day by their police captain, they got files that were basically useless and named Appendix A and B. They were given nothing. Since then, the department refuses to comment about this, citing an ongoing criminal investigation that is potentially connected to drug trafficking and more murder. Yep. The U.S. attorneys will not confirm the existence of that case. The attorneys for the lawyers have pretty much said nothing about it. The only one to make a comment was the attorney for Mr. Captain Melvin Perry, who claimed ignorance that the subpoena ever existed, even though sources near these officers say complete otherwise. And Perry himself didn't appear to court to testify at that legal advice that, well, we have to know something, and this is something, you're testifying on something you know nothing about. So there's been a lot of this file, technically we gave you what you asked for, but there's nothing in it. No one can comment, no one can deny or confirm or anything. So that was back, that's been going on since November 2018. Well, this is a fresh news story that was dropped today. And why is that? Because the Florida Police Benevolent Association filed a lawsuit against the entire city of Fort Myers to release these appendices in their full disclosure, like in their entirety. So it's gotten to the point where now another bureau for the state has come in to sue the entire city to get the information on these 4 police officers. It's a federal, local, and state case all at the same time. It's amazing.
Yeah, that is
Crazy.
That's intense. That's really intense. I have family in Fort Myers. I should let them know. Maybe they could write to their local mayor's office.
They can write apparently to their mayor, to
the
their
FBI?
congressman, and to their governor. Like, they're all involved now.
People who know the law know best how to abuse it. So
Yeah, this is almost a lot like Saint Disgrace, San Bonifacio, whatever it is.
The captain, 2 sergeants, and an officer.
Yeah.
it is. Wow.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
Corruption
And
is
the
real.
chief of police was like, oh, well, you guys should just go take sick days from now on. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Once again, this show is much more realistic than we give it credit for. I think it's time that we now jump into our celebrity news and gossip for this week.
AfterBuzz TV News.
We have Janice here to talk about all about Brian Garrity's cast as a villain in a new series
Yes.
on the televisions.
Thanks, Brandon. So this week, news dropped that Brian Garrity, who plays Gene Coulter, he basically has been cast to be a series regular on David E. Kelly's new show called The Big Sky. And the show is going to be on ABC coming out, we don't know when, but stick around and we might announce that when we get news on that. And so Brian Garrity is going to be starring against Ryan Felipe, and Kylie Bunbury, and also, those 2 people. And just so you know a little bit about the story, The Big Sky, it was based on a book by C.J. Box called The Highway, and it's basically a crime procedural thriller about a private detective who is searching for 2 missing sisters. And if you don't know who David E. Kelly is, he's done really big shows such as Big Little Lies, Ally McBeal, Goliath, and Boston Legal. And so we're anticipating that the show is going to be a very big hit. So you guys should definitely look out for Brian Garrity in that.
Yeah.
So,
That's all I got for you guys.
so it's a crime, it's a thriller procedural about a detective investigating
a
2
private
sisters.
detective,
Private detective, not the
2
cops.
sisters,
And he basically just flipped
And
the
it's
tables
based on
on
a
the
book.
other side. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
bored for this role.
It's
sounds
Bizarro
amazing,
Briarpatch.
Yeah, Bizarro Briarpatch, especially if he's going to be playing some sort of
Yeah, an
antagonist
antagonist,
role.
yeah.
Because even in this show, especially this episode, like I said, he is kind of like a little weasel. So I could totally
Yeah.
see him pulling off a good villain in the proper role.
He has the face for it too. Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know what that means. I hope I don't have a face for being a villain.
Debatable.
Okay.
But I'm excited to see where this show goes. I'm a huge fan of Briarpatch, of course, and also like Kylie Bunbury. I've been watching her career since like Twisted, and what else has she been on? The show with
Oh, I don't know.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'm not familiar with
Yeah.
her career. I
Yeah.
apologize.
When They See Us on Netflix. Yeah, she was
Ah.
on that as well. So I'm definitely excited to see where this show goes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. Super exciting stuff. Super exciting. Speaking of super exciting stuff that could not happen, who knows? Who might be a villain? Who might not be a villain?
Right.
I think it's time to get into our predictions for next week's episode.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So we do have this hard drive, flash drive thingamabob with some sort of black box recording that Floyd Furness gave to Allegra. Do we think we're going to finally unravel what's on that? And do we think it'll give us any insight at all into what happened to Felicity?
It's gotta do something. Floyd Ferness wouldn't sacrifice himself for nothing. He definitely, I trust him 100% now. Like, I mean,
Oh,
if the guy's
yeah.
willing to die for the cause, then you gotta, why would he lie? Why would he lie?
sure.
So I believe, yes, he absolutely knows that there is corruption in the police station and that this has evidence to it. I think now, though, that Felicity isn't the villain, but that she's just as corrupt as whoever did this. She's not the big bad. The big bad's obviously the one who took her out. But I think she's dirty. I think she's going to prove to be not the hero cop that everyone was making her out to be. I do not trust the entire department now.
Yeah, I don't at all.
Yeah, that's a really fair point that you bring up, that if this whole police department is corrupt and the way that they treated her like a true hero cop kind of makes me believe that she was just as corrupt as everybody else, because they're like, oh, she's one of us. She's just as corrupt as we are. When she dies, we're going to treat her like she's a true hero.
And if they, because remember the previous episode that there's something going on between Chief of Police Eve and Chuckles there, the reporter.
Yeah.
So they're painting this picture in public like they don't like each other, but they're clearly working together. Now, Chuckles was talking about how he was going to write an article that she was sinister, but if the police can go, oh, well, the media is bad, you shouldn't listen to them, we're painting our hero cop in the light. So what they're doing, I think, is they're getting everybody on the side of Felicity while the time is right, while sympathy is at its most potent. And if they can paint her in a good light, and if she's an extension of the police department, that means the police department is in a good light. And if they ever do get exposed, then you can't believe what the paper says, because the paper tried to paint this sweet, honorable hero cop as a bad person.
Yeah, the scene where they invited Allegra into the police station and they just like all went around and like talked about her, and they were like, oh yeah, she was always here very early. It just seemed like a show for me, just like a show for Allegra to be like, yeah, these people cared about her sister. And I just didn't think that was necessary at all. Why did she have to come here before going to her sister's funeral?
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. And I don't think Allegra was buying it at all. Like, she was like,
No.
okay.
I certainly wasn't. I think Kevin's onto something. I think all this real life detective work that you've been doing, the writers are nervous right now. If the writers are watching this, they're sweating. They're like, he's figured us out.
He's close.
He's got
He's
this whole show figured out. He's a genius. So,
The secret is everyone is terrible.
wow. I guess that wasn't as
Spoiler.
sophisticated as I thought it would be. Well, that wraps up things this week's episode. Janice Nyam, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram at NyamJanice, NyamJanice.
And for any of the corrupt police officers and politicians at home
God.
that don't
Why
want
would
that
you
don't
do
want
that?
don't want to be discovered, and you wanna come after Kevin Allen,
Oh
where
my
can
God.
where can they find you, Kevin?
Y'all can read my rants on my live journal that I keep in a lockbox and is totally encrypted.
Boom.
Yep.
Master level.
I'm not going to tell you where it is.
You didn't say the magic word. And I am Brandon Hanna. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at BrandonHanna07. And yes, don't come after me, go after Kevin. And we'll see you all on next week's episode, guys. It's going to be
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.